There are only 7 matches officially announced for WrestleMania this year, but they are set to determine who will be the key figures of 2024. We're going to go through all the winners and losers, so beware of spoilers ahead. First off, it was announced that Gunther would face Sami Zayn on Monday's Raw. There is still a possibility of Chad Gable getting involved, and personally I definitely see that happening. It is a fitting reward for Chad Gable. Gunther, however, has been a bit through the ringer with this one, with Bron Breakker as a potential competitor, but he seems now more set to be involved in the tag team match. The original plan was different for both these men. Gunther was set to defeat Brock Lesnar one-on-one clean for the Intercontinental Championship. Meanwhile, if Drew McIntyre was to leave the company, Sami Zayn would be the one taking that final pin and sending him packing. Instead, both men are a little less fortunate, with a loss now on the horizon for Sami Zayn and a lesser profiled opponent to defeat for Gunther. This will still be a Gunther win. He looks set to basically hold his championship reign for most of 2024, particularly as regards the European shows in France and in Germany as well. But for Sami Zayn, this is a continuation, unfortunately, of a strict downward trend ever since WrestleMania in 2023. Next up, Tag Team Championship. The rumoured ladder match does happen, but for the tag team belts, meaning there are going to be at least 12 bodies in the ring and a high possibility of a Dominic Mysterio floating around outside, causing some additional carnage. The teams haven't been finalised yet, but teams like DIY, teams like Pretty Deadly, and teams like Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker definitely are looking like being involved. There were many different options other than a ladder match. The reason they've gone for the ladder match is to try and establish a full tag division in a very short space of time. Triple H has been working on this tag division for a while, but teams that he has been building, like the Street Profits, like AOP, are involved elsewhere at WrestleMania this year, meaning teams much lower down the card now are going to be involved. Thankfully, you do still have established teams like New Day to really hold that over and really jump off a lot of things and break a lot of ladders. Personally, I have DIY winning this one. Essentially, the last year, starting with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens picking up the championships, has been championships in decline, with a good argument to be made that the Usos winning both championship belts was the beginning of the end for a tag division that is only now recovering. Triple H hasn't had long enough yet to really make it work, but so far in the previous season of play, we've had Judgment Day, we've had Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso briefly, and we've had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens as the tag team champions. All of these are considered main eventers well above this level, so they need to get the belts off Judgment Day at this point. While I can see Judgment Day losing that gold, they will go home with at least one belt still. Just to be clear, not a tag belt. There is no talks of a new championship belt to my knowledge, or a plan to split the titles, as has been reported numerous times over the last 2 years, constantly for clickbait by different outlets. Io Sky defending her championship against Bayley seems set for night 2, and I've got to say, unfortunately, most of the intrigue is already gone on this one. The Damage Control storyline has been a slow burn, sort of Bloodline style, and I've really enjoyed it. What I will say though is we're at our hottest point already. We should have WrestleMania already to keep this one at its hottest. I've been told a number of times this is just the beginning for the Damage Control storyline, again echoing elements of the Bloodline, and that Dakota Kai will come out of WrestleMania particularly strengthened, as she seems set to face Bayley further down the road. I'm looking at around a SummerSlam time. The Kabuki Warriors will be defending their championships. That's a separate tag team division that's also being rebuilt after a very rough time. A clear gap in Triple H's booking strategy. But Bayley seems expected to win this one. There are rumours and there are indications that she will have some help to equalise against Damage Control. Mentions of Naomi, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill. But this would be a surprise for me. Naomi, we know, doesn't actually have a storyline going into WrestleMania, so they're writing something basically as they go. They weren't expecting her back as quickly as she was. Jade Cargill, the initial plan was to face Nia Jax, but they don't believe Jade Cargill is ready for that one-on-one exposure. When it comes to Bianca Belair, the original plan was Charlotte Flair. Tiffany Stratton's right there and actively being built. If I'm WWE, you have to give her that option. This does leave Bayley a little bit stranded, and this is of course where Dakota Kai would be the spare woman, so I'm interested to see how this one plays out. I still have Bayley winning, but I think she'll be wrestling with Damage Control for the next 4 or 5 months at least. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch is up next, and this is one that they've been planning for quite some time, almost a year in fact, and they've made no efforts to hide the fact that this is where we're heading. Rhea Ripley has actually taken a step back from this feud, allowing Becky Lynch to work with Liv Morgan, to work with Nia Jax in the build-up to the actual match. This seemed to suggest that Becky Lynch will still be taking some time off afterwards. We'll see how that goes, because both she and Seth Rollins have contracts that are wrapping up around WrestleMania time and have not yet put pen to paper. Everyone's focused on Drew McIntyre's contract. Two of the biggest names in the industry for decades now have not signed new deals. The story for Lynch and the story for Rollins is actually extremely similar. Both of them are distracted by too many things happening at once. Seth Rollins is distracted by The Rock, so he can't focus on Drew McIntyre. Becky Lynch is distracted by Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, so she can't focus on Rhea Ripley. This will create a very simple opportunity that Rhea Ripley will take with both hands. Rhea Ripley defeating Becky Lynch and going into season 2 of her championship reign. Confirmed for the main event of night 1 is something they're going to be billing as the biggest tag match in WrestleMania history. The Rock and Roman Reigns of the Bloodline on one side, likely with Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa just sort of hovering around. On the other side, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. The outcome of this match will determine the actual stipulation for the real main event of WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. A win for the Bloodline gives the Bloodline full control over that match and gets them as involved as they want to be. A loss for the Bloodline means that it will be a one-on-one, just Cody and just Roman at WrestleMania. I've got to be honest, I see this being a pretty big win for a returning Rock. The Rock has agreed multiple matches as part of his return, but he only gets one at WrestleMania, meaning he won't be picking up a win and then going straight into the main event. He will only have this tag team match. He was originally planning to go against Roman, that now not happening because Cody Rhodes has come back into play. But I do think if you're going to have The Rock versus Roman Reigns, they need more storyline to it. Easiest way to do that, The Rock is able to beat Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns is not. On night 2 for the World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins defends against Drew McIntyre. A late change, because the original plan when it comes to this exact spot was it was going to main event night 1 and it was going to be Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. That's not even the original main event of night 1, that was going to be Becky Lynch challenging Rhea Ripley. So night 1's been all over the place, and now we're on night 2 where the match is moved into. There are many reasons for this though. Firstly, Seth Rollins is still going to be hurt from the previous match, as are Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, who'll be main eventing both nights of WrestleMania. Seth Rollins, though, will have been distracted by that, picking up some hurt, and likely Drew McIntyre will get involved in the main event of night 1 to build hype to that match on the next night. I don't see Drew McIntyre winning, though. This is despite a few things. First and foremost, Drew McIntyre isn't going anywhere. He hasn't put pen to paper yet, but he is not leaving the WWE. In fact, come SummerSlam, I see Drew McIntyre being the World Heavyweight Champion and being challenged by a returning CM Punk. Unfortunately, there's a few steps in the way first, and I can see Damian Priest cashing in on this one, heist of the centurying Mr. Heist of the Century, turning it into a triple threat, walking away with the gold, having pinned Seth Rollins, who has already been beaten by The Rock, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and then Damian Priest as well. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch both distracted, both get screwed. Drew McIntyre, unfortunately, is in on the screwing action as well, and I can't say he'll be too happy about it. The next few months, Drew McIntyre is coming for Judgment Day, and he will get his way. This leaves us with the main event of WrestleMania, Roman Reigns defending the championship against Cody Rhodes, a rematch from the main event of last year that was eventually won by Solo Sikoa's thumb. The original plan was for The Rock to lose to Roman Reigns retaining the championship and continuing his record-setting reign. Now that it is back to being Cody Rhodes again, the winner of the Royal Rumble, I'm excited to see how this one goes, because I still have Cody Rhodes winning. I have The Rock trying to screw Cody Rhodes. I have Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, Paul Heyman, all trying to screw Cody Rhodes and failing, because Cody, popular backstage and has help. You see, the Bloodline have simply made too many enemies, and I can definitely see a lot of them getting involved here. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn could get involved. Randy Orton could get involved. We can also see Jey Uso getting involved. He'll be in a match against Jimmy Uso earlier in the night after all. So the Bloodline are going to be basically completely trapped in their own making. There is still a Rock to play, But Cody Rhodes, I see getting through this, getting past it, and holding the gold aloft. This is a show for me that ends with The Rock staring down Roman Reigns and saying, "Is that the best you could do?" This sets the scene for the next year of WWE programming where The Rock takes over by hostile methods the Bloodline. Let me know what other matches you expect to see in the comments below, and check out more PLE Wednesdays by clicking the video in the corner of the screen. Thank you and see you later.